Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming in and having a seat. Thank you for spending some time socializing. It's great to see everyone this afternoon. I'm Dan Price, Chair of the Board of the Boise Chamber and Community Banking President with Mountain West Bank, and it's great to have all of you here today to enjoy this beautiful building, this beautiful hotel that we're in today. It's just quite a treat, and I think you're going to get to learn a lot more about it as we move through the day. Welcome to the Boise Chamber's CEO Speaker Series featuring Diane Hendricks, sole owner of ABC Supply Company and chairman of Hendricks Holding Company. The main purpose of the CEO Speaker Series is for members to hear and learn from top CEOs who impact Idaho business. I want to take just a moment to recognize the heritage and culture of this area, as today is recognized as Indigenous Peoples Day. This CEO Speaker Series is presented by Bank of America. Our exclusive airline sponsor is Alaska Airlines. Our event sponsors are CSHQA, Idaho Business Review, and Oakland Construction. Table sponsors for today's event are listed in your program and on the screen. Please join me in thanking all of our sponsors. I would now like to introduce our reserved table. Please stand and remain standing as you're announced, and everybody else, please hold your applause until I have announced everyone. I always love this part because I get to see who follows the rules. First, we have Bobby Joel Muehlman, President and CEO of the Boise Chamber. There is one in every crowd, isn't there? Next is Adam Schnicker, commercial banker from Bank of America. Cindy Sufa, publisher of the Idaho Business Review. See how I do that? I just move on really fast so you can't. Shiloh Shaver, Vice President of Business Development for CSHQA. Ben Petzinger, Project Developer of Oakland Construction. Diane Hendricks, owner of the ABC Supply Company and Chairman of Hendricks Holding Company. And Rob Gerbitz, President and CEO of Hendricks Commercial Properties and Geronimo Hospitality Group. Please join me in welcoming the reserve table. I now would like to take a minute and talk a little bit about Diane Hendricks. Diane Hendricks is the sole owner of ABC Supply Company, Inc., the largest distributor of roofing materials and one of the leading suppliers of exterior and interior building products in the United States. With over 21,000 associates, 1,000 locations nationwide, ABC Supply has become a key player in the construction industry. Diane is also chairman of Hendricks Holding Company, Inc., which oversees a broad portfolio of businesses, including Hendricks Commercial Properties and Geronimo Hospitality Group, the driving forces behind Boise's Hotel Renegade and the Warehouse Food Hall. Diane will be joined on stage today with Rob Gerbitz, President and CEO of Hendricks Commercial Properties and Geronimo Hospitality Group. Please welcome to the stage Diane Hendricks and Rob Gerbitz.
Hi. Hello. Well, first I want to thank all of you for attending here today. I'm going to tell a couple of things here that I haven't told Diane, but she's already heard this, and some of the people in the room have heard this plenty of times. I've been with Diane for about 16 years, and it's been probably the most amazing 16 years of my life in terms of work and all the things I get to do and to work with her. And I'm not telling her that for the obvious kiss type of reasons. I'm just saying because it's just been a lot of fun the entire time. And one of the things that she told me the night she hired me, she did a number of things. She said, okay, it's your baby now. I don't know if you remember that, which is a wonderful thing to hear when you're sitting at the dinner table and she's giving you a job. I'm like, wow, that's great. And then you start driving home and you're like, okay, wait, what is all that? And fortunately, it turned out to be amazing. But the other thing was that I will never forget is that she got up and she left. And then all of a sudden she came walking back and she said, your number one responsibility is build Beloit. And then she gave me a hug. And then she left for good that time. There are a couple things I took from that. First of all, I don't know about how many of you have been in interviews before and been hired, but I don't never remember being hugged after you've been hired. What that turned out to be really important to me was it told me a lot about her as a person. And you can read all these magazines and all these lists and stuff like that, but I'm one person to tell you that does not represent this lady right here at all, and how genuine and how good of a person she is. So that meant a lot. But it also was important to me when she said build Beloit. I actually sat back down with the two guys that were a part of her team that hired me, and they were like, well, what does she mean? And I said, I know exactly what she means. And my history and what I've done in other places, at the last job I was at for over a decade, I kind of thought I knew what she meant. And I thought it was buildings. And it certainly was buildings to a degree. But for her, and what she really instilled in me was the importance of the people inside the building. The building can be beautiful. Hopefully everyone likes Renegade and the warehouse and the things we're trying to do, but they are relatively useless if they don't have the people inside of them working and creating something for the community as a whole. And I kind of learned that, and I learned it from her. And it became kind of a driving force to me and to our team as a whole. And we've taken it, I think, to a pretty good level. I think we got a long way to go yet. And more to come, hopefully here in Boise as well. But that's what I wanted to start out with. I don't know if you want to start off with anything.
Thank you.
I've pre-gone over these questions with her already, but well, 4 of the 7. So we'll try to get through these, but we also like questions, so we would love to have questions from the group as a whole. So happy to take them. My first question for you is, you've been named by Forbes as being the most successful self-made woman in American history. Why do you think you've been able to be so successful? What were the thing or the things that made the biggest difference?
Always being around people that you respect, have high integrity. It's all about the people. The buildings are beautiful. I love what we do, but it's always about the people inside that make our company so successful and our lives better. And that's my answer.
You've had role models in your life.
I have.
You've had lots, but I mean, can you give a couple?
I have. I had a woman that actually, when we were down and out, because life can get very difficult as you're going up a hill, and life was like that. And my husband was still alive at this time, and it's just a quick story, but we were roofing contractors. And we had big payroll to make. And I can look at the gentleman at my table that knows what it's like to be a contractor and how hard we work. And we couldn't make the payroll. We just didn't know how we were going to make the payroll. It was a government job. And my friend went and financed her home without asking and she had a nice home. She was married to a banker and divorced. And she financed her own home and brought us a check for $600,000. And, it's the people that enter your life. I didn't ask. We weren't asking. We were figuring out what we were going to do. But it wasn't to borrow the money from somebody that financed their home. We paid her back in 2 months because, as working for the government, you do get your paid, but not always the month that you want it. But it was just one of those times with people, and you realize that people will put themselves out if they believe in you. And you've got to have that integrity back. And I think that Rob has been with you now for 16 years, that it's always about doing the right thing. There is no other solution to being successful in business. You don't cheat, lie. You don't. And I think that was an example of a friend that was there for us. And you don't climb up the hill alone. And I remember every one of those times when, you get down and it's hard. And somehow it comes together. And so I'm not even when you're expecting it. So I believe in integrity and working hard, and good things happen.
That's great. What were a few of the most critical business decisions you have made thus far in your entire career?
Well, you never quit, ever. I just don't have the capacity to quit at anything I do. There was an acquisition that I did, and for those of you that are in business and know what it was like in 2008, 9, and then the bottom fell out in 10. And I did the biggest acquisition I had ever done. I bought Bradco, and it was like almost the size that we were. And so I'm sitting there putting everything on the line. Had to borrow the money from at an expensive rate, and we did the acquisition. And it was by far the turning point for me in running ABC Supply, because we doubled our growth and we made it through the recession of 2010. And it took guts, and I just had to lay it on the line and pay that 18%. But I knew it was the right thing to do and get the job done, and we paid that back. And they usually like to get a 4-year return, maybe even up to 5, and I paid them off in 2.5 years. And I was at the managers meeting in Chicago, and it was a really good day to stand up and looking at them. They knew I was going to, but they didn't know I was going to make a big deal of it right in front. Is that, and you're being paid off this week, and thank you for being there when I needed you. But it was a good day. And
I believe you got a standing ovation at that one.
From everybody but those two.
Those two guys, yeah. Okay, we are in Boise. We're celebrating the formal opening of Renegade, one project in a growing portfolio of some real estate projects. What are your thoughts on Boise?
My thoughts about Boise? I love it. I've been out here twice. Once we just came out to kick the bricks. Second time we came, we were starting to talk about what we were going to do, and went and met with the mayor. And I know she's not here tonight, but one of the people from the mayor's headquarters is here. And I spent time there, and I learned more about Boise and how you care for using your federal dollars to help the homeless. There were a lot of wonderful stories we heard that day. And this is a great town, and you could feel it. Rob could talk about Boise all day long because he has spent a lot of weeks here.
Yeah. Mostly at Penn Jilly's, but nonetheless. But it's the truth, though. In our business, especially on the development side, there's a lot of communities. It cannot be very fun. It can be very, very difficult, and it can make you scratch your head on why are you doing this. And we have other cities that we've had great collaboration, but Boise is equal or greater to all of that. And it's under the basic premise that you want to make your community better. It doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. I'm certainly never asking for any city to lay down and just say, oh, go do whatever you want. We want to collaborate together, and because I think you end up with a better project at the end of it, and the long-term outcome just has that much better chance of being long-term. And this hotel, the restaurants, this rooftop, this is long-term. This is going to be here for, hopefully I'm retired at some point, long time from now. I'm only 55, so I got a ways to go. But that's kind of how we came to here and working with it. And I just saw Nick Miller earlier, and I was mentioning that the first time I met Mayor Beater at the time is Nick had me go meet him at the Double Tap. And I thought, all right, now this is a mayor I'm going to like. And we just sat in a booth and had a few beers, and just honestly, we didn't really talk about specific projects or anything like that. I think we were more or less getting to know, all of us getting to know each other. And it was just, it made you feel good, and made like, okay, we can do work here and have that collaboration. And with Mayor McLean and Sean Keithley and all their teams over there, it's been the same way. Although, Sean, you've not asked me to go to the Double Tap yet, so I think we got to correct that. But nonetheless, that's what's so important about this is working together to have a common goal and just having a really good end result. So, and I think you should be proud as Boiseans. You are not normal. In all the positive ways of not being normal, by the way. So it's really wonderful. But why real estate and why hospitality?
I don't know, but you have to finish. One thing is, Rob does not drive around the city when we're looking at where do we want to land, what do we want to do. He walks.
Yeah, and as you guys know better than I do, this is by far the best walking city I have ever been to. There is no comparison. And you just keep making it better and better. I love walking up to the north end and going up to Camel's Back and all throughout the community. And when we originally first came out here, one of our acquisition guys came out, and he was here for basically less than 24 hours. And really came and he looked at a building. God, I can't remember. It's over on Capitol over there. We actually did not buy it. He said, I don't really get it. I don't get Boise. And then at the same, roughly a little bit later, I had another broker give me an offering memorandum, and I was just like, it looks like a suburban mall in a downtown. I don't really understand this. And he just said, okay, you got to go and look at this. It could be something really good for you guys. So I ended up doing it. I did what Diane said is, I started either I'm walking or if I'm running. And I did that here, and I just said, okay, I got it. I understand this now. And I called my head of our investments, Larry Evinger, and I said, now you and Les, you get out here. There's another word I use, but and get your running shoes on, do what you're supposed to do. And Les in particular, who was here that other time, and he wasn't even here for 2 hours, and he finally was like, oh, he goes, apologize for the plane flight and having to pay for that, because he goes, I missed it the first time, and he goes, now I got it. And what ended up being today is the warehouse was that first purchase. So that's kind of how we got to that. So how about real estate and hospitality?
Really? No, this is something that I was a waitress, like everybody's been a waitress in their life when they're 18 years old. But Rob told me when I hired him 16 years ago that his father owned a restaurant, and he had worked in the restaurant, and he knew what it was like. And the one thing he didn't want to do was be in the hospitality business.
But
so, tell us.
Well, I think in general, it was a restaurant that actually Ken and Diane owned the first floor, and then you own some other rooms. This is another thing about Beloit that's really kind of amazing, is that they are a community-driven city, and they want to make their city better. Quite frankly, one of the most dominant manufacturing cities in its heydays in this country, but like a lot of them, did their downturn, and then they were starting to make their comeback. But the community got together and they did a hotel, and people bought rooms and they put them into the pool, and then they'd get money. And then Ken and Diane bought the first floor, and then they leased it to a guy who was having a restaurant. Similar, yeah. And then it ended up being well, you basically got it back, I believe.
I had to buy it back.
Yeah, and but you didn't want it to close because it was a restaurant for the community and for the business community. And unfortunately, it wasn't a particularly good restaurant. And running restaurants, as people in this room from our team know, is really, really hard. I'll use this little saying here, and you'll appreciate this, by the way. General contracting is the second most difficult business in the world. The first most difficult business is running a restaurant. What is the first thing a general contractor does when he gets successful? He buys a restaurant. It's just it's growing up in it. While my father loved it, I would often say to him, I'd be like, now you're 80 years old at the time, and I remember you're telling a lot about the love. I don't remember the love quite as much as what you're describing, but he did enjoy it, and it just wasn't for me. And then when the restaurant opportunity came here, I think the first thing I said to you, will you let me do what I think we need to do? And you said, do what you got to do. And we basically shut it down, and we gutted it, and we built it on the history of Beloit, and it's called Maryland Houston Steak Joint. And that was the start of us getting into the hospitality business. And Maryland Houston's is a wonderful restaurant for us. It's kind of become the steakhouse mainstay in Beloit, and it's the business restaurant in the community. It's really terrific, and that's kind of how we got started, and we kept going.
There's a great story. There was a gentleman that worked there, and he was a waiter, and Rob recommended, because he liked the guy, we liked him, when we shut it down to renovate. And he goes, have him work over at Kurt's Steakhouse. And so he spent 90 days working with Kurt's. And he has been the chef in our restaurant and is today, after 15 years. And
Yep.
he makes the best steak. Everything is always exactly as it's supposed to be, which is something you want in a restaurant. If you're going to have good food, have the best. Otherwise, serve it all the time. If you're going to have bad, then serve it all the time so they get used to it.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's a great steakhouse.
It is a great steakhouse, and Bobby and Tanya, his wife, Tanya lost her mom, and Bobby lost his dad a little bit ago. So we were just like, you know what, Bobby's been with us for so long, so we actually bought him a trip out to here to stay at Renegade. And, so they're going to be coming out. The only thing they cannot do is Bobby cannot go see the kitchens here because they're way better than the one he has. so we got to keep them out of there. But just really great people. And, that's kind of was the start of our hospitality world. And then we kind of started to branch out into the hotel there. Ironworks Hotel was born. And then we kind of just kept going because we had some pretty good success with it, and from the real estate side, it was really a good team to work together where we found things we could do, like a Renegade or something like that, and work with both Geronimo and ACP and build it from there. So, how did you get started in real estate?
I bought 2 houses, 1047 and 1101 Park Street. You always remember the first property you buy. And I had been a waitress, and I had saved some money. And I bought those 2 houses, and the 2 of them were $7,000. And they weren't very nice. And at that time, I had a 3-year-old son and was divorced. And we painted and cleaned and did what you had to do. And then we bought another one, the house that I actually lived in for 3 years. And then I started buying houses, and by that time I had met the man that ended up I married. And so he also got involved in the real estate with me, but he didn't really like to work at it. He was a contractor, and I still don't know if he ever put a shingle on. But he was a great contractor. So we worked on these houses for the Beloit College, and when you have a college, you can get your money up front. They pay for a whole year. So that really gave me the start for the next 3 or 4 years at having the dollars paid by the college kids for a whole year in advance, and I would move forward buying another house. And I had met a woman that had been doing the same thing. Her name was Lil Schufelt. And I would sit and drink coffee with her and find out how to do a P&L. I really never did learn how to do a balance sheet. I didn't really care. It was the P&L that was important to me. But it was interesting just to have somebody tell me what she had already gone through in buying a lot of real estate. At one time, I think we had 200 units in Beloit. So, and then we, started selling houses and getting rid of that and going into more lightweight commercial real estate. And I've loved real estate, and I still love real estate. I have to go right over to meeting Rob 16 years ago, and he liked real estate. You were big in real estate with Bob Lang, and it was the hospitality that bothered you when we got into that. But we had built up quite a bit of commercial real estate by that time, and it still is my passion. Yes, we own ABC Supply, and I lost my husband, and we were about $1 billion in sales. We're about $20 billion in sales now. So that company has flourished under the great management of ABC. I always come back to it's all about the people you hire. And I've hired 2 great people at ABC. I've hired one person great in the real estate, and that's Rob. And it's always about the people, always. And so I'm in the real estate, and I still love it. And it's the one that I have the most fun in. I'm the chair of ABC Supply, but that company's gotten so big, it's really not fun anymore. It isn't. There's a difference. Rob and I talk at least twice a week, sometimes more. And we talk about where we're going to go next and what we're doing. And he's the visionary. He can see the buildings when they're ugly or there's no building whatsoever. But, he'll always make the building look like the right building on that block. And he's got a gift of having the vision. And you've seen it here in this room and around the city of what he has done. And we have a lot of fun. I just like real estate, and I've done well with it. And why not?
Right, absolutely. One of the values you instill across all of your companies, and you've talked to me about this since the day I met you, was give back. And one of the things you often say, and I hear you say it quite a bit, is with success comes responsibility. What do you mean, and can you describe some of the ways that you choose to invest in your success?
Well, you give back. I can remember the first time philanthropy became something of importance to me, and I ended up writing a check for $1,000, and I thought that was a lot to give. But as life has been good to me, you have a responsibility to give back. And I have made a commitment to my community. They helped me. I moved to a little town in Beloit and bought those 2 houses. And the community is what makes somebody become successful. I couldn't do it in other towns. You've got to have a community that supports and wants you to be a part of the community. And that really sounds really simple. But I could do it in Beloit, but I couldn't do it in the town that I lived. They weren't looking to help me get a bank early on. In Beloit, they gave me a bank. I had a bank. So, it's just so many steps to being successful in so many different ways, but that got me started, and I love real estate, and I'm not going to leave it, and Rob is so fun. We have so much fun. And I don't know where the future's going to end with the real estate. I don't know where I want to stop. I know I'm getting old and I shouldn't be doing it, but I hope my kids like these buildings I'm going to buy. So,
trust me, I hope they do too. Kind of parlaying off that question is that, I've seen you devote a lot of your time to your philanthropic work in recent years, but particularly to your commitment to veterans and to education. Why is it so important to you, specifically these two?
I'll do education first, is that I think education is failing a lot of our children in our nation, not just in our state. They just aren't. And so we built a school. During COVID, we built a school, and it was done in time, and we have 730 children that go to that school now, and we are really we're all about academics and career planning. I believe that you start when they're 4 years old, and then 5 years old, and then they go into first grade. You start talking about what their passion is and get them involved in education and career planning. And I'm thinking of building a second school just because I feel like I've got 730, I've got to do something, and I think that's one of the best things I can give back is to educate children in a way that when they graduate from high school, whether they decide to go on to college, isn't really important to me. Some will, but to me, if you've got a career path and you've got a passion in an industry, you're going to make it in life. You're going to make it in life. What was the other question you asked me?
Veterans.
Oh, the veterans. I love my veterans. And I've never been in the military. And so I sit on the board at Homes for Our Troops. And it's probably, I've sat on a lot of different boards, but I find Homes for Our Troops, these are the ones that are disabled, and they need homes to live in because they can't live in a normal home. So I've been on the board for 3 years, and we built 40 houses last year for disabled, no legs, maybe one arm. They come out, and these are all people that have been injured since 2000 and are in need of a house that is fit for them to be able to live alone and have a great life. So that's my passion, is that education and getting children. I can't touch everybody, but I'm blessed right now, and I want to educate the children, and I want to help take care of those vets that have given so much. And so it's their passions of mine. And so one little quick story is that I sit on the board, so we go out 4 times a year, and so I had to sit by the general. He's a 4-star general, and he runs Homes for the Troops. And like the second time I sat by him, because he did one of those, and the third time he didn't do that, so I sat down the road by some of the other, it's veterans and civilians together, about equal amount of people on the board. And he goes, wait. He goes like that to the chair. He goes, you're not done learning yet. So I just sit by him every time I go now. I just don't know. But it's a passion. Once you see what they give up and how hard they work to have a normal life, and that's what we're giving them. There's 600 more people left. So Homes for the Troops, if you ever want to go online and give a donation, that's what, and I'm probably their biggest supporter out there. All we can do is build 40 houses a year. We've got contractors that do that, of course, but it's a lot. And the houses end up costing about $1.2 million because they have to be so specialized for their needs. But it's a passion of mine, and I think we all have different passions in our lives and things that we can do, and so those are my career kids, and getting a few kids really educated, and the vets, taking care of the vets that can't really take care of themselves until they get the right house.
I'd say if you go to Homes for the Troops. She asked me to be involved with the Lincoln Academy, and it was for me, it was complete learning. I mean, I'm not an educator by any stretch of the means, but the outcome was just absolutely tremendous. But when you look at the Homes for Our Troops, I've seen the videos, and it's worth just looking at it. It's just amazing what they're doing. You are someone who works harder than most people I have ever known, and you do not seem inclined to choose retirement. What are some of your goals for the future? Second time I've said that word, by the way, on this stage is retirement.
I don't know if I'll ever retire. I'm sorry.
I don't want you to.
I'm old, but I don't like my cat that much that I would I'd stay home with her all day. I like the people I work with. I love the people I work with, actually. I don't know if I have friends outside of the office. Been working so long. No, I really don't, if my health, someday I'm going to be sick or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess then I won't go to work anymore. But until then, as long as I can think and I've got the ability to be able to dream and take care of your visions.
Yeah, I especially like that part.
I do have a son that's very engaged in my other 5 older children are all retired. And here's mom sitting here. But my son is not, and is he never liked real estate that much, but we're trying to get him involved, but he likes the other companies we have.
Talk about an uphill battle. Yeah,
I know.
But honestly, he's a great guy, and he sits on my board, and anytime I ask him something, if he doesn't know, I go, all right, give me a little bit. And he'll get back, and he'll have just great advice and different. He won't give me an answer necessarily direct, but he'll give me options, and which I really have always appreciated. And also, he told me the day I met him, I don't like real estate. Which I'm like, oh, this isn't going to go well then over the next 15 years. But he's a tremendous guy, and he really is a great help, certainly to me, whenever I need it. So it's been a great day. Last question. What advice do you have for young professionals, particularly young entrepreneurs starting today?
Well, I always say, what do you have the capability of doing? What do you like to do? And what is the need of whatever it is you're pursuing? If you're going to make wood furniture, there's a lot of wood furniture being made by somebody else. You've got to find something that's needed before you start investing in yourself, in your dream. Hard to do that. But I always say, have a need. Find something with a need, and you'll probably find yourself creating yourself a career. There isn't, it's hard work. And you better be willing to work because it takes a lot of work. It still takes work. And I've been working since I was 18 years old, 17 actually. I mean, it just takes work to succeed. But it feels good when you do. So I don't complain about hard work. I think it keeps me young. I think it's good for the soul. I do. I'll never retire. I'm sorry, Rob. I just don't want to unless I had something that was physically wouldn't allow me to go to work. As long as I can still think clearly. I think it's good for people to have a passion and choices in life. I don't think you have to, just because the age says you shouldn't be working anymore. And I'm single, so like I said, I don't like my cat that much. So,
one thing you say quite often is, when you are starting a business or in business for a long time, you have a goal. Don't change your goal, change your path. Because business is going to change it for you one way or another. And you got to be ready to adjust and move, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're changing the goal. And I think people forget that sometimes.
I think something that I have told Rob from the get-go is when we do something, and it's not about me, but it's just let him know, this is make me proud. Mm-hmm. Because you want the buildings to be beautiful. You want whatever we build, the school, right? Mm-hmm. It's, and it's just my way of saying, just do the best you can, but make me proud. Make it good. Yeah. It's, especially in my downtown, we're trying to beautify that city, and yeah, we could put up an apartment building, but no, they're good-looking buildings, and it makes me feel good.
That's good. Well, thank you so much. I'm certainly willing to take questions if anyone has them in the room. We have 6 minutes and 27 seconds left.
I have a question.
Sure.
So you're a mother, those difficult years when your kids really need you and you're a career woman at the same time, how do you balance that when you don't have enough of you to go around?
I worked 5 days a week. I still work 5 days a week. I was home every night and made dinner and had family dinner. I believe I'm a farmer's daughter, so I know that you sit together and you eat together. And on weekends, I never worked. Neither did my husband. So we spent our time, the quality of time that we spent wasn't about the quantity of time. It's about the quality of time you spent. And I just think that's, me as a mom, and I raised 5 of the 7 kids in my house. Ken's first wife lived down the street, and we're friends. So we raised her kids, but they lived with me, 2 of them, and then I had 3 of my own. So I just think you can do it. You know, you just have to have parameters, and we didn't go out at night. We just came directly home from work, and I just believe in that old philosophy. You know, you learn about your kids when you're sitting at that dinner table. Somebody's going to tell on somebody all the time. And if it was too quiet, then you knew it was bad. It just worked. It worked. But it's hard work. You know?
The thing is, you still do that to this day.
I do. I still believe. And my youngest daughter, she's pretty funny about it. And Rob knows my youngest. She's in real estate, which she said she was never going to follow in my path. But she's in real estate. But she's, I just lost my chain of thought. I guess I am getting old. I just lost it.
Well, the irony is that she's buying some of the houses that you used to own
Yeah,
in that neighborhood that you started in.
Oh, that is, yeah, she is. She's not a kid anymore, but yeah, she's following my footprints and doing exactly what she said she would never do, and I think that's pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
Just a comment. So, my name is Janie Best. I'm with Make-A-Wish Foundation of Iowa.
Oh,
And I just want to say thank you for the long-time partnership that
Yes.
ABC Supply has had
Yes.
with Make-A-Wish across the country and granting wishes to children with critical illnesses. Thank you.
well, thank you. That is the other national that we support is Make-A-Wish and Homes for the Troops. So we probably will be doing that for a long, long time. It's a wonderful organization. Wonderful.
So, thanks for coming here. Diane, thank you for making the trip over here. I'm Paul with the Chamber. Can you tell the group that don't already know some of the investments that you've made here in Boise, and then what does the future investment look like? Have you been looking at other locations? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'll just say, as far as Boise and what we're doing in the future, we're in other cities too, especially, Beloit and Indianapolis. I'd like to see us do a little more in Naples.
More flood panels.
Anyway, but the future of Boise is, we have a great future. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've invested in the Hoff building, the Jefferson building, the Oahe next to it, obviously the warehouse. We've been actively looking ever since we got here. As if there's other real estate, investors here, we know Boise's gotten a little tough just because it's so popular and stuff like that. But we're going to continue to do that and try and invest in additional properties, additional projects. But the ones that we have, those are slated now to start going into their, I'll just call them the remodel phase, and kind of taking the, let's just call them the 80s, 90s offices out of them and bringing them up to today's world and kind of starting to change some of that. So that's our immediate next plan for over the next few years on those. But always looking. So if you know of anything, give me a call.
We have a hotel for sale in Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, you want to go there? Well, it's one thing that we came here the first time with Diane, and we came here and we walked all over the city. We met with Mayor McLean and Sean, and Diane made the comment. She said, "The city is so clean." And I said, "It's always clean." And I think you said, "Why?" And I said, because I think in general, people self-police. If you see something on the ground, you pick it up, you throw it in the garbage. By the way, I did that yesterday when I was walking, so it's rubbing off on me as well. But I also think the mayor's office in the city make a concerted effort to keep it clean, and I think that's important. So I think it's something, again, you should be really proud of. But after we were here, we flew to Santa Barbara, which clean isn't exactly what I would call that. And Diane made the comment, she goes, "You should have brought me here first." It's a different dynamic. Let's just put it to you that way. But
I don't like Santa Barbara.
yeah, she actually said, are we really going to do this? And I'm like, yeah, we're kind of gluttons for punishment, I think. But we got our work cut off for this, but it'll be good. But it's like I said, it's just a very different dynamic. 14 seconds for one more. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way.
Diane, Rob, thank you so much for your time today. A few takeaways. Watch out. It's about the people. Love it. It's about the people. Give back. Pretty simple. Humble. Diane didn't say that, but that's what I see in Diane. Humble. And not fond of her cat. I don't know what it was. It's just something that told me about, I don't know what it was, but there's something about it. Thank you, Diane and Rob, for your investment in Boise. Hotel Renegade, what a beautiful, beautiful facility that we can treasure for years to come. The Warehouse Food Hall, certainly a new concept for us in Boise, and we love it. Thank you for that. Rob, you figured out Boise. Don't tell anybody. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your investment. Thank you for being here. I'd also like to thank our sponsors one last time. This was presented by Bank of America, our exclusive airline partner, Alaska Airlines, our sponsors, CSHQA, Idaho Business Review, and Oakland Construction. Before we conclude, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Before we conclude, I'd like to mention a couple upcoming chamber events. October 16th, this is something you didn't know, I guarantee you. Support Your Local Chamber Day. Did you know that? It is, October 16th. Chambers across the Treasure Valley will be hosting events. The Boise Metro Chamber will host a reception at 3:30 p.m. at the offices featuring proclamation readings by the Secretary of State and City Council members. We would be grateful if you could attend. Once again, that's this Wednesday, October 16th at 3:30, just up the street. Dr. Trump's address to the business community on Tuesday, October 22nd at the Stuckel Sky Center from noon to 1:30. To wrap up October, a congressional forum, Thursday, October 24th at the Riverside Hotel from noon to 1:30. And Boise Young Professionals Celebration and Young Professionals Awards, Wednesday, December 11th from 5:15 to 7:15. What an interesting time. 5:15 to 7:15. That gives you time to get there, that's why. At the Grove Hotel. Diane and Rob have to head out, but for those who wish to mingle a bit longer, the bar will be open here until 7 p.m. Thank you to the Chamber staff for putting together today's event. And thank you all once again for joining us this afternoon. We're very appreciative. We are adjourned.